Hello, I'm Tim Rogers. You are watching Kotaku.com. Devil May Cry 5 is trash. I mean this as a compliment. The great film critic Pauline Kael once said that movies are so rarely great art that if we cannot appreciate great trash, we have no reason to be interested in them. I feel much the same way about video games. I mean it. I love trash. Andy Capp's hot fries are cuisine as far as I'm concerned. If it was up to me, Little Caesars would have a Michelin Star. Devil May Cry 5 is great trash. Devil May Cry 5 is more than great trash. It is spectacular trash. If we stoop to judge Devil May Cry 5 by its superficialities, we assess a katamari of loud candy wrappers, bad music, ugly haircuts, tacky tattoos, insipid biblicism, the type of clothes a Hollywood film would like us to believe a drifter could pick up at any thrift store, easy jokes, gloppy gore, lock and key level design, numbskulled platforming, clunky voice acting, and nuanced combat mechanics that'd blow a Lamborghini engineer's hat off. Devil May Cry 5 is a video game that contains 2 kitchen sinks, because someone on the team was thoughtful enough to consider the one player out there who thinks the kitchen sink is the best part of the house. Devil May Cry is a work of texture. In one decade of their life, a critic of media might squint at the thing that is Devil May Cry and ask, why isn't this something else? Where is the bearded father teaching his son or daughter practical life lessons in a post-apocalyptic landscape? Where are the sad viola solos? Even the snippiest critic, however, reaches a certain age wherein great trash sparkles in 4K, 60 FPS, and HDR. I do declare I am that age. A critic unable to wear a good time hat might say the plot of a Devil May Cry game makes no sense. A critic of my age is comfortable declaring that it makes perfect sense. The only issue is why this, of all senses, is the sense that it makes. The answer to this question, why, is of course a trick, because this game's chewy texture is a mere manifestation of the fact that the dudes who were making it were just having a heck of a good time. Full disclosure, for several years of my 20s I worked as a game designer at Grasshopper Manufacture in Tokyo, Japan, makers of such games as No More Heroes, No More Heroes 2, Lollipop Chainsaw, and Shadows of the Darned. Daily, I designed levels and sat in on meetings in which everyone felt comfortable saying every stupid thing they were thinking, while some junior crew member wrote it all down in a notepad. Later, the junior crew transformed these loose notes into perfectly professional memos. Years later, I read Goichi Suda talk about, for example, the save system in No More Heroes, in which the game's protagonist Travis Touchdown sits down on a toilet. Suda said it was because, for him, making a game was like taking a dump. All the culture, films, music, and games he had ingested melted down into something brown and came slowly sliding out. Now, I knew 2 things for a fact. Number 1, that man ate too much rice and meat and not enough green. And number 2, that save system turned out the way it did because a bunch of people on the team were big fans of Capcom's Dead Rising. The metaphor, however, remains bulletproof. Yet if games is turds, these turds happen only after a community collaboration. I played God Hand at my desk with the literal director Shinji Mikami sitting next to me, muttering about how IGN didn't get it. They'd given the game a review score of a 3. Over and over, he lamented that they might have ruined his career. 3.0, he would say. Look at this action. On what planet is this a 3.0? I lived across the street from Grasshopper Manufacture's office in Koenji. Shinji Mikami lived in Osaka. He only came up to Tokyo on days we'd scheduled big meetings for planning our secret projects. On days when I knew Mikami was going to be around, I would come into the office early. With gym shower wet hair, run high, I would sit and play God Hand with Shinji Mikami sitting angrily next to me. More than once, to himself or me, he spoke in fatherly tones of one God Hand developer or another. For example, one day he quietly said to me or himself, "The kid who tuned this punch was such a good kid." Those mornings were perhaps the best of my game development career. Before lunch, at our big meetings, men a culture removed from American Halloween sifted archaeologically, philosophically trick-or-treating backward into their drunken restaurant-occupying shouting matches of the night before, making sure junior crew got everything down on paper. These people were loud and stupid and beautiful and brilliant. They were the chillest, dorkiest old men whose acquaintance I have ever made. I loved them. And during those days, as the sun swung high, in the furnace foundry on the factory floor, serious young developers with passionate interest in fighting games and shooting games, and then taboo genres such as real-time strategy and American first-person shooters, sat in contemplative silence polishing the clock gears of battle system prototypes. Over weeks and months of easy time, they excreted a combat system built so tough, a Ford truck would have taken one look at it and dumped its cargo right there in the parking lot. I can't imagine Devil May Cry's development happens any differently. Artists and producers cooperate loudly to wrap the game in as much fluffy velour, to stud it with the filth of so many figurative rhinestones, spangles, and zirconia so as to cast upon its product face 1,000 shades of intrigue. These producers know how to package an action game, make it present itself as a trick-or-treat, scattershot, shotgun blast fashion catalog of its own trash. A painting of itself, airbrushed onto its own van. Devil May Cry 5's creators so complicatedly understand that if you can invent any reason for any hypothetical anyone to glance or laugh, you stand better than half a chance of hooking them with the drippy morsels of muscular chemistry lurking just beneath the wafer-thin surface of style. Devil May Cry 5's combat asks you in a Black Phillip whisper,
"What is the heaviest hamburger you have ever eaten?"
Maybe once upon a time you manually manipulated a Kobe beef monstrosity on a crumbling brioche bun, your cautious fingertips straining to contain the volatile information of which bread crack ran deepest. The spidery digits person handling your Xbox One Elite controller will imagine sauce and juice rivulets advancing dangerously and stain-threateningly toward your Rolex. And just like that, your mind's wrist is wearing a Rolex. No, each of your mind's wrists is wearing a Rolex. One of them is rose gold, and one of them is black. Who wears a black Rolex? Devil May Cry 5's combat is, therefore, a musical instrument the playing of which requires the wearing of two imaginary Rolexes. All who know true joy proclaim the glory of the symphony of mechanical noise swelling beneath and bursting up through this Ninja Turtleian facade. Devil May Cry is superlative luxury for connoisseurs of the finest trash. Not everyone can love it. Those who savor the forest fire of busyness it ignites in the ironclad mind are perhaps the most interesting game-likers in the world. Off the top of my head, I conjure the image of one man who would probably love this game. When I lived in Emeryville, California, I used to run every morning. I ran around the Pixar Animation Studios campus. Parked on the corner of my block was a drop-dead gorgeous red 1996 BMW M3. By drop-dead gorgeous, I mean it was gorgeous and it had dropped dead. Chicken pox of rust dotted it here and there. The steering wheel behind the untinted windows grew black with hand grime. The front seats were more cracks than leather. Its owner parked it directly beneath one of California's many unnecessary citrus trees, whose impossible, inedible, unnameable fruits drop onto sidewalks as though in infinite supply, taunting oblivious runners into twisting their ankles. Every sunny morning under a sapphire sky, I gazed at this car as I ran past, contemplating its beauty. Upon its pinkening hood, cartoon sunshine cast prettier-than-life shadows of heavy leaves blowing in the pleasant breeze. One day, as I ran past, one of the aforementioned inedible, demonic mystery citrus fruits fell and slammed onto the hood with the ugliest sound I have ever heard outside of a video game. On my way back home after my run, I saw the car's owner for the first time. With bare, sticky hands, he was yanking the juicy, gluey fruits off the rusted hood of his beautiful machine. He had a big beard and black sunglasses and more tattoos than bare skin. He looked at me and said,
"Morning, dude."
I said, "That is a fantastic car, dude," to which he replied,
"Heck yeah."
except he didn't say heck, if you know what I mean. And I was like, seriously, I look at that car every day and I'm like, somebody drives the heck out of that car. And he said,
"Heck yeah, my man. Me and this one been through a lot of stuff."
and I said, to not go through a lot of stuff with that car would legit be a crime. To which the bearded man replied,
"I hear ya. This car's like a little brother to me, dude, so I call him Little Bro."
I could conjure no reply. My throat seized up. I immediately thought, wow, this guy's a little bit weirder than his tough guy appearance would initially have most people believe, and he absolutely owns. If Devil May Cry 5 were a person, it'd be that guy. Devil May Cry 5 is available soon on the Xbox One, PC, and PlayStation 4. It contains 3 playable characters, Nero, Dante, and the mysterious V, who looks like somebody poured half of Adam Driver out on the supermarket floor. He charges his evil Pokemon by stepping back from battle and literally reading a book. I wish my inner 12-year-old were alive to see this. It's got a girl in it. She wears glasses, drives a van, has tattoos, speaks with a southern accent, and smokes cigarettes. Multiple characters object to her smoking. Beneath its foil shiny, crinkly pachinko machine wrapper of style and noise, Devil May Cry 5 entices the intrepid technical game liker toward shocking swirls of brain business. Will the devil actually cry this time, or what? I know the answer, though I'll leave it to you to discover yourself. As my late second cousin Fred Mr. Rogers might have said, it's not polite to spoil a video game whose title contains a conditional. Whatever the solution to its ultimate mystery, whether or not the devil may cry, his face is never for a moment dry. From start to finish, Devil May Clive stays dripping wet with a crystalline, half-gelatinous, shiny red. Devil May Cry 4 was a long time ago. I'll never forget Devil May Cry 4's advertising campaign. The slogan on Subway ads was, "Ore no action wa doko made atsuku naru no ka?" How hot will my action get? It feels like a lifetime that I've been joking with a particular friend about how hot such and such game's action will get. I hereby throw open the door and invite you too, dear viewer, into this joke. How hot will Devil May Cry 5's action get? I've played it, and I've gotta say, pretty hot. It has been a long while since the Devil May Cried. However, I won't dare say that Devil May Cry 5 means that Devil May Cry is quote-unquote back, because that would imply that it had at some point left. I hereby strongly assure you, series fans, that Devil May Cry 5 is so ostensibly exactly a Devil May Cry game that to call it a comeback flippantly denies the stronger-than-strong possibility that its makers spent the intervening years between Devil May Cry 4 and now lusting after or dreaming for literally anything other than Devil May Cry 5. I'm Tim Rogers. I was born stupid, however, I will not die hungry. Video games forever. Kotaku.com.